If you have the urge, don't do it. Stick to your objective, stay focused, and you're going to see the difference at the end of that lesson. Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode in Adventures of Comprehension. My name is Ciera Harris and I'm the author behind Ciera Harris Teaching. And today we have a fantastic episode for you. We're going to be talking all about 5 things that you do not need to do when you are teaching. We're not going to waste any time tonight. We're actually going to jump right in. All right, so number 1, you do not need to differentiate every little thing you do in your classroom. Now, I will preface this by saying, yes, there is a time and a place that you need to help your students with the little things that they do need help on. Every student is going to have gaps and holes in their education and their learning, and yes, we do want to make sure that we find those and we do our best to fill them in to make sure they have the best foundation they could possibly have. However, that should be taking place outside of whole group instruction. That should be taking place in small group instruction. Whole group time, when we are really teaching and honing in on these skills and strategies that our students need to know to be successful readers, that is not the time to be differentiating, right? Instead, we need to accommodate and support the students who need that help to allow them to be successful. So here is why this is so important to understand. What does differentiation actually do to our students when we do it in our whole group? All of your students come to you in a wide variety of places. By continually differentiating their lessons, we're perpetually closing some gaps, but we're creating new ones. What needs to happen is old gaps need to be closed with direct instruction in small groups, and new learning needs to take place in whole group for that grade level. That will ensure for all of our students that they are all moving along and receiving differentiated instruction at their level and regular instruction, tier 1 instruction, or also known as grade level instruction at the same time. So instead of just filling a gap but creating a new one, we're moving all of our students along. So what should be happening in your classroom? What does this look like? You have 2 different pockets, is what I'm going to call them for tonight. You have tier 1 instruction, which is your on-grade level work. So if you teach second grade level work is tier 1 instruction. This is what all students, regardless of their level, should be receiving during whole group. Tier 2 instruction is your small groups. Okay, that is where you're filling in holes and gaps. So this is where you can take time to meet the needs of students, fill those gaps where they need to be filled, right? You cannot have strong tier 2 instruction without strong tier 1 instruction. Your focus needs to be on your grade level work in order for your tier 2 instruction to really be successful. Number 2, you do not need to over-teach. Too much of something, right, is not always a good thing. So when teaching small group, and your objective, for example, is, let's say, teaching main idea, right, with a nonfiction text. The teacher is directing the students through a nonfiction text. And so then as they read, maybe they come across a different some text features. And so the teacher stops to talk about the text features and what they are and why they're there. And then a few seconds later, a student comes across a word that they do not know and they're trying to decode it. So the teacher stops and asks the entire group how they would decode this word and what that would look like. And then finally, they come to a paragraph that maybe they didn't read very well. It was a little choppy. So the teacher has them reread the paragraph again for better fluency. So you can see here by the end of this lesson, are the students really going to understand what they were at that small group table for? What was the overall objective? Was it text features? Was it decoding? Was it fluency? Was it main idea? There's so much that we can be doing at a time, and we want to make sure that we're helping our students along the way. But we also don't want to derail our lesson. We don't want to have, 10 little bitty lessons when instead we could have one strong, really pinpointed, focused main idea lesson that's going to help those students with that objective. The whole point that they're at that small group table is so we can help them with main idea. That is what we should be focusing on. Hey everyone, so sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that you are loving the content coming from Ciera Harris Teaching on YouTube. So make sure if you are loving this to subscribe and also like and comment below. I would love to hear from you. Number 3 may shock you. Yes, I'm saying it right here. Encourage your students. You don't need to do it. Now, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, I want to encourage my students to do their best. And yes, you absolutely want to set that culture in your classroom. That from day one, you want to make sure that your students know that they can do their best, that they need to try hard and never give up. But in the middle of a lesson, I'm going to give you 2 options. Do you want to encourage your student? Or do you want to give them constructive feedback that will help them when they have these issues reading independently? So here's an example to go off of. You are in the middle of teaching a lesson on, let's say, text structure, okay? And you have gone through keywords to look for, you've read through the text, and now you've called on a student to try and identify the text structure of that story or that text, okay? And they're struggling. They do not know what to do. They're confused. You have 2 options. You can do this. You can encourage your student and say, you can do it, Johnny. It's all right. Just try your best. Take your time. You can do it. Or you can do this, option B. Hey, Johnny, what keywords do you see in that text that might help you? Are there any text features or other text components on the page that might help you identify the structure? You're wanting to give them support, questions, feedback, scaffolding that's going to be in their brain when they are doing this independently. So when Johnny hears those questions, he's going to log them away. And when he goes to identify text structure later on, he's going to say, these are the questions that Mrs. Harris asked me. I'm gonna ask myself those questions. Or these are the steps Mrs. Harris gave me when I was struggling. I can refer back to those steps. 2 more, and I love this one. Talking too much, especially in reading, is completely detrimental to your students' ability to comprehend. So do not do this in your lessons. Talk time for students should be greater than talk time for teachers. So let's break this down. Students need to be the ones to talk more so that they are able to think, collaborate, and even express their learning through talking. Reading comprehension, as you know, involves deep thinking. And if it doesn't, then it's not true comprehension. If we want our students to really dig deep into a text, then we need to give them time to process. And that time to process could mean think time, quiet thinking time, where they're looking through the text. It could mean writing time. It could mean filling in graphic organizers. It could be collaboration time, where they're talking with other classmates and collaborating and sharing thoughts and ideas to draw, one united conclusion. But whatever it is, we make sure that we need to turn our voices off and provide them with deep thinking questions and opportunities where they have the chance to do that type of thinking. Otherwise, all we're doing is giving them those surface level questions that technically are not true, deep comprehension questions. So how can teachers do this? So first, you want to ensure the talk that you are doing in your lesson is really important. Focus on what you say. What I say and what comes out of my mouth should be connected to that objective and to that objective only. Your talk should include your model, and it also should include your guiding questions. We're not lecturing. So when you lesson plan, it always goes back to your lesson plan. Ensure that you have less time to talk, by using things such as discussion strategies, right, that will get your students involved in the lesson. If you need any ideas for discussion strategies, comment below and let me know. I'm happy to shoot you a link. I've got a blog post and a resource, both of which you absolutely need in your classroom. All right, so we are ready for number 5, and number 5 is absolutely to use the entire text. Time is too precious, way too precious, especially in a given day or in a given lesson. We have a 90-minute reading block, or maybe you have a 60-minute reading block. Do you really have time to read an entire mentor text and then do a lesson on it and then still do small groups or interventions or setters or whatever you do in your classroom? No. So one thing you can do is be very purposeful of your read alouds. If you know that next week you are doing main idea and you know that you're going to want to use these specific mentor texts, then do yourself a favor and read them aloud for fun the week before. That way you can use excerpts from the text during your lessons and they already know the entire story because you read it for fun the week before. Also, looking at excerpts for chapter books, right? You can give your students a chapter book, provide a great summary, and pull out an excerpt from it, even if they haven't read it, and still use that as a strong, concrete text for your lesson. All right, friends, so we blew through 5 things that you do not need to do when teaching reading. I cannot wait to read your comments below. Make sure to let me know which one do you do? Which one do you need to stop doing in your classroom? Or if you were at a number 6 to the list, what would number 6 be? I would love to know. So thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to read your comments. And let me know, of course, if you have any questions. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Bye.